Addiction Solutions Victoria offer personalised and affordable addiction treatments and family support packages delivered in the privacy and safety of people's own homes. The ASV Online Family Support Program is based on researched strategies to help reduce the length and severity of harmful addictive behaviours.
Step 4. Establishing clear boundaries and having the courage to keep them.
The purpose of this session is to establish where do my responsibilities begin and end. And we do this in order to help our family member to become more independent. I'll tell you a story because I think it better explains what boundaries are all about. A family came to me some time ago, a husband and wife. All through our session, the wife kept saying to the husband, "Did you hear what Angela said? Did you hear what Angela said?" And he said to me, "Oh, but Angela, I couldn't do that. He's my son. I have to give him everything. That's what fathers do." He'd come out as a migrant some years back as a young child with his family and was a very successful businessman and made a lot of money. And he gave everything to his son. The son had no understanding of what his boundary began and ended. The father did anything and everything for him. Sadly, some time later, the father rang to tell me that his son had rung him from Mildura and he had gone up there to help him in some situation. When the father arrived there, the son took his car, filled it up with drugs and brought it back, leaving the father stranded. That still didn't deter the father. The father later booked the son into a very expensive treatment centre. The father stayed up all night waiting for his son to come home. His son didn't come home, but the father went into hospital with a stroke. The father sadly lost his business. His wife left him. And then one day his son, who was still living at home and doing whatever it is that he wanted to do, said, "Dad, look at you, you're a loser. You've lost your business, your wife left you, and I'm going too." In every possible area, the father wasn't able to put in a boundary because he felt he had to do everything for his son that he loved so much. And that's why we're having this discussion today. It's one of my favourite topics, boundaries. And as you'll see on this slide, it gives you an example of the separation between you and your family member and handing their responsibilities, the cause and consequence, over to them. With people with no boundaries, take on all the responsibilities of other people. And so many people today are letting their family members off their own responsibilities, and all that teaches them is that there's no consequences for their behaviour. So at the end, there's always someone else to teach them, and it's usually someone like the police, or worse, someone who they'll be inflicted with pain or other such issue. So it's very important to remember, even though you think you're doing what you're doing for the love of your family member, you have to remember what are the consequences of my message. Say, for example, in a husband-wife relationship that I was talking to a family member recently. The husband comes home late. He's got a serious alcohol problem. He passes out on the couch, spills red wine all over the floor, might even throw up, a whole range of things. And what does the wife do? She mops it all up. In fact, she's now given up her job because she has such a job and she's so overwhelmed and so anxious she doesn't know what to do. But she keeps on covering it all up because she's afraid of what the outcome might be if she doesn't. Allowing people to feel the consequences of their behaviour is one of the best things we can do for our family members because it encourages them to understand what addiction is all about, being dependent. As we discussed in that earlier session when we did the definition of dependency and addiction. So along with that, the important thing is to know the causes and consequences of your family member, where you begin and end. For example, if there's any illegal behaviour going on, you don't cover it up. You're actually not doing them a favour. If you're keeping secrets and lies, you're not doing them a favour either. The choice is now. You can say, I used to do that, but I choose not to do it anymore because it doesn't work for me. If their behaviour had changed and they'd stopped doing what they're doing from your covering up, then it would be well worth continuing. But as we said in the very beginning, if you keep on doing what you've been doing, you'll keep on getting what you've got. So now is the important time to put up serious boundaries, divisions between what's their responsibilities and what's yours. So in any situation that comes up in the future, have a think about now what you're going to do.
8 signs you lack boundaries. 1. You fail to speak up when mistreated. 2. You give way too much of your time. 3. You agree when you really feel like disagreeing. 4. You feel guilty for dedicating time to yourself. 5. You feel like you are being taken for granted by others. 6. You have chronic fear about what others think about you. 7. You overshare details about your life with others. 8. You constantly feel like a victim.
What could you do in the next situation that comes up? What could you say? I can give you an example of another couple who came in about their daughter. Sadly, again, it was at a late stage, and that's often when families seek help. And the mother said, I can't believe it. Right in the very beginning when we gave her a car, they lived in the country, I gave her money for petrol and she drove off. And then about 3 hours later, the local petrol station rang me to say that the daughter had driven in and driven out without paying. So of course I got in my car and drove up and paid for it. And I didn't like to tell father in case she got into trouble. I'm sure it was just a mistake. However, the daughter never paid for her petrol again. And then the mother set up an account there for her. And on it went. So it wasn't like she was covering up. It was though she was taking responsibility of all the actions of the daughter. So the more you take responsibility for someone else's actions, the more you own the outcome. And the more they don't own the outcome. And they blissfully go on doing what they've been doing, and you keep on getting what you've been getting, what you've got. So as soon as you start to jump in the future, remember, stop. Think about what you used to do, what the outcome was, and what could you do differently now. And remember, allowing them to feel the consequences of their behaviour allows them to become independent adults. And that's the thing we want them to be. We want them to be independent adults, whether they're our partner, even our parent, who might be an alcoholic that some people are dealing with. The same thing. We want them to be able to look after themselves, and by covering up their consequences, we're only taking it on board ourselves and allowing them freedom to continue to do what they've been doing. So putting in healthy boundaries, and we'll provide you with a list of them here now, of all of the healthy boundaries, and you can read them for yourself. And remember, you're doing yourself a favour and also your family member. You're not being selfish and you're not being unloving. You're actually being kind. They might well up the ante and say, you don't love me anymore, I want you to do that for me. And you remember the message. If you keep on doing what you've been doing, you'll keep on getting what you've got. And you'll be feeling the consequences of their behaviour, not them. And you'll be allowing them to maintain their addiction. Good luck.
You have now completed Step 4 of the ASV Family Solutions Program. Before viewing Step 5, please refer to and complete the Step 4 section of the ASV Family Solutions booklet.